when we ask, and the Chinese Vice Minister, who was our interlocutor, when he rejected the proposal, his words were, not only the content of your memorandum is unacceptable, even the title of your memorandum, which says genuine autonomy for the Tibetan people. Even the title is unacceptable, because how many times did we tell you that Dalai Lama has no right to speak about the situation inside Tibet or in the name of the Tibetan people? When we asked the Chinese Vice Minister why in the first place he had invited us to present our ideas on genuine autonomy, he told us this was a test to see how far you have come to understand the view and position of the central government, and you failed this test miserably. That was his answer. So against this background, despite the very grave situation inside Tibet, actually the present situation inside Tibet is de facto an undeclared martial law situation. There is huge presence of security in military. So Tibetans inside Tibet live in a state of constant fear and angst. And Tibetans inside Tibet tell that they are experiencing a second military occupation and the harshest way of repression since the Cultural Revolution. Despite all this development, His Holiness and the Tibetan leadership in exile reaffirmed its policy of middle way approach and its commitment to the dialogue process. So the present position and plan of the Tibetan government in exile is, we remain ready to engage in dialogue with the Chinese government anytime, anywhere, as soon as there is a clear signal from Beijing that the Chinese government is willing to seriously address the real problems faced by the Tibetans inside Tibet. We stand ready. Meanwhile, as it has become very clear that the expression of dissatisfaction, resentment, and genuine grievances by Tibetans inside Tibet, as well as all the efforts of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to reach out to the Chinese government, that all these are not sufficient, that Tibetan protests and Tibetan voice are not sufficient, alone not sufficient to move the Chinese government to rethink its policy on Tibet. So therefore, we have decided to intensify our efforts to reach the Chinese brothers and sisters, Chinese people. So we will make every effort to establish regular contact between ordinary Chinese and ordinary Tibetans, then between Chinese scholars and experts and Tibetan scholars experts on specific fields and issues, then between the Chinese youth and Tibetan youth by organizing conferences and camps and so forth. Then between Chinese Buddhist and Tibetan Buddhist. So therefore, on all these levels, we will make every possible effort to reach out to our Chinese brothers and sisters. We intend also to increase literature about Tibet, Tibet's history, culture, religion, and the contemporary situation of the Tibetans in Chinese language. And we also intend to increase websites, our websites in Chinese language, so more Chinese can have a source of information about Tibet that represents the Tibetan view. So we hope that through these efforts we will be able to promote better understanding between Tibetans and Chinese, and especially that Chinese brothers and sisters have more factual and truthful information about Tibet. Lastly, we also will make efforts to encourage more young Tibetans to study Mandarin, to study Chinese culture, Chinese history, and contemporary Chinese history, and so on, so that young Tibetans are capable to interact with their Chinese counterpart and thus promote to better understanding between Tibetans and Chinese. Finally, as I already mentioned, it is now clear that Tibetan voice alone has no effect on the Chinese leadership. So therefore, we Tibetans have no other alternative but to appeal to the international community. We are not appealing to the international community to confront China or to isolate China or to boycott China. No. What we are appealing to the international community is, please help in creating an environment, political environment, which makes it possible for the Chinese leadership to rethink its policies with regard to Tibet and convince and urge the Chinese government to sit down with the Tibetans and to engage in an honest dialogue with the aim of finding a mutually agreeable solution. Because there are sufficient arguments and reasons to explain to the Chinese government that it is also in the best interest of peoples living in China to resolve this problem in a way as His Holiness the Dalai Lama has proposed. The middle way approach is an approach that benefits both parties, the Chinese government as well as the Tibetan government. So it is in the best interest of both parties. So in concluding, once again, our gratitude and our deep felt thanks to our Japanese brothers and sisters who have been supportive of our non-violent freedom struggle. Please continue to support us. Please continue your commitment to help the Tibetans, to help the Tibetans and also the Chinese to resolve this problem in a human way in the interest of both parties. Thank you very much.